Now we are going to start with the new topic, that is the solid state, right. As you all are familiar that what is matter. So the first question is that before we start with solid state, first question is that what is matter. As you all are studying sciences or chemistry from the previous classes as well, so I think you are familiar with matter, but still to avoid confusion I will just define the term again. See, matter is something that occupies space and has mass. Again, matter is something that occupies space and has mass. And you know, there are different states or states in which the matter exists. Like on the basis of physical properties, we have got 3 states of matter, that is the solid, the liquid and the gas. So these are actually the 3 states of matter in which on the basis of physical properties, in which states the matter exists, that is the solid, liquid and gas, right. For example, you are familiar with the ice, you are familiar with the water you drink, you are familiar with the steam which you use to cook certain kind of things like dhoklas or something else, right. So you all are familiar with the 3 forms. Like if we talk about the steam, we talk about the ice, we talk about the water, you know that they are formed of the common substance, and that common substance is water, right. That is the constituents are H and O, and the ratio of combination of volume and mass is fixed, that is 2:1, and even the mass is fixed, right. But still we get to see different states, right. We know that like when we talk about ice, so ice is the solid form of water, right. And when we talk about water, it is the liquid form of water. And when we talk about the steam, it is the gaseous form of water. As you can see in the figure, see, this is the ice, this is the liquid, the water, and this is the steam, right. So these all 3 things are made up of the same substance, that is water, but it is just you can say the condition of temperature and pressure in which they are existing, right. So suppose I have water, if I say I want ice, I have to keep the water at very low temperature, right. And if I want water, I have to just we can melt it, like after the melting point we get the water, that means the liquid form of this thing, water, right. And when we just heat it or boil it, we are going to get the 3rd state, that is the gaseous state, that is the steam of water. So that means it is all the condition of temperature and pressure, right. It all depend upon the condition of temperature and pressure that we are getting different states, like we are getting this thing solid, ice as solid, water as liquid, or steam as gas. So this is all the matter of the condition of temperature and pressure, nothing else, right. So because at you can say a fixed temperature or at a fixed pressure we get ice, or at a fixed temperature or pressure we get the water, and likewise we get steam. So that means it is all the matter of the condition of the temperature and pressure in which the substance is present. That is why we get to have different forms, that is the solid, liquid or gas. But you know that most of the things what you see around are solids, right. If you know that, like if you are working, if you are if you are studying in a class, then you get to see chair, table, chalk, everything, right. And suppose you are in your living room, you get to see sofas, you get to see show pieces, you get to see a mirror. These all things are solid. So that means it's okay that we have 3 states, that is the solid, liquid and gas, but the most you can say the most famous state, or you can say the state in which most of the substances exist around you, is the solid state, right. That is why we are starting with this chapter, solid state, because we get to see so many solid things around us, right. So we should know that what actual properties they possess, or what kind of behavior they possess at different conditions, so that we can be familiar with the properties of them. See, now as I told you that for example, if you are in a classroom, you get to see this marker, we have this remote, we have this whiteboard, you are sitting on a chair, you have tables on which you are writing. So they are different solids, right. But and you know that these different solids have different application, like you are using different things for different uses. Like I am using this marker for writing, I am using this whiteboard so that I can just you can say write something on it, right. You are having a chair, a different solid, a kind of solid in which which is meant for sitting. You have a table where you keep the place where you keep your copies and you can write something. So that means different solids have different applications, right. Though they are of same state, they are exhibiting almost the same general properties, but they are actually being used or you can say their applications are different. Now what is the question behind that? Why the applications are different? Why they are used for different things? Why marker cannot be used for sitting, right? Or you can say why chair can't be used for writing? Because they possess actually the different properties, right? Because of those different properties, they are used in different fields or they have different applications. So in this chapter what we are going to do, we are going to know about the different properties which are exhibited by the different solids. And you know that if you are just familiar with the properties of the solid, you can even invent solid of your desirable use. For example, we wanted that there should be a lubricant which can be used at high temperature, and you know we got definitely, and that lubricant is graphite. Graphite is a lubricant that can be used at very high temperature, right? So that means different solids have different applications because of the different properties. And you know what is the major property that is you can say existing in solids? That is the binding force. That is the binding force. That means the force which binds the constituent particles together, that is very strong in solids, right? So that means like if we talk about different solids, as I told you about different applications, different properties, but the common property is that the different binding force. So here I am going to show you first the different solids and we will be stating different uses for that, as you all are familiar with the solids around you, but still I have just listed few solids for you. Just look at the board. See, we have this iron rod. So what is the property of this iron rod? This is very hard. You know that it is used for construction purposes. Like in the house you are sitting, in the buildings where you are working, all the structure is made up of iron. See, it's so strong it is, right? Likewise, we have another solids as glass. See, glass is not so solid like this thing, the iron rod, but still it is you can say a solid. It is meant for taking juice or something else, so it has got different properties, right? If you just throw the iron bar, it is not going to break, but if you throw this glass, it is going to break. That means they possess different properties. Both of them are solids, but still the properties are different. Likewise, see, we have a cake. Cake is again solid. See, so beautiful, you can see beautifully decorated cake, as you can see. So it is also a solid, but it is not resembling an iron rod. Does it? No, it is not resembling any iron rod because it is somehow spongy. If it is going to fall on the floor, it is going to stick on the floor, right? So that means this kind of solid is spongy. That means the solid can be spongy also, right? And can be tasty also. Likewise, we have this thing, the ice. As I've already told you that this is the ice. You can use it like when you are feeling this thing, like when in summers you come back to home, you want to drink chilled water, and what you do, you just this thing, add a piece of cube to it, and you just your this thing, the thirst just went away. And the another thing is that the pen. See, the pen has, again pen is a solid, but it is meant for writing, right? It cannot be used for sitting, or it cannot be used for keeping things. It is meant for writing because it possesses the properties like that. Likewise, we have the different solids like table. Table, we know that table is used for writing or something else, so it is a strong thing. You can even keep TVs or anything on it, right? Likewise, we have eraser. See, it is so soft. Again, it has a property that it can erase things, right? If you write something with pencil, and it has the ability to erase thing, right? And it is moreover soft in nature. Like we have bottles. See, we have plastic bottles. If we crush them, if we heat them, we can crush them, we can mold it in any kind of thing. That means this solid possesses the property of molding. That means if you heat it, you can change its shape. As you can see, if you put hot water in it, it is going to be crushed like this. So that means it has a property to crush. Otherwise, if you keep any hot things on iron bar, does it going to crush? No, not at all. It is not going to get affected at any condition. Right? Likewise, we have soap, right? So what property does soap has? Soap has the property of cleansing action, but that property is not possessed by pen or table or anything else. So that means different solids actually have different properties, right? And because of those different properties, they are used in different fields, or you can say they have different applications. So likewise, like in general, we are just summing up the properties of the solids. So what properties does solid possess? First is that intermolecular space is short. That means if we get to see solid, there is very little space between them. And as the space is very little, that means the intermolecular force binding them is very strong. The force which is binding them is very strong. And due to this reason, they are they possess definite shape, they possess definite volume, they possess definite mass. Because of the strong binding force existing between them, therefore they possess definite shape, volume and mass. And likewise, what we have, as you can see, the particles are totally so tightly packed, they do not have the ability to move around, but still they can show a motion, and that motion is that they can just oscillate at their mean position. So that means they are fixed at their position, but still they can oscillate at their mean position. That means they can show only vibratory or oscillatory kind of motion. And if we talk about the constituents, it may be formed of atom, molecules or ions. And like as far as compressibility is concerned, it is incompressible and it is rigid somehow. But still, like see, I have some of these properties, but it is not like that. Every solid is going to possess these properties in the same amount. For example, if I talk about iron rod, that means in iron rod intermolecular force is so strong, but it is not so strong in the soap, right? So that means the general property is that this thing, the space is short, the force is strong, definite shape, volume and mass, they can oscillate about mean position. Atom, molecule, ions are the constituents and they are incompressible and rigid. But still you can say different solids have got a different range of forces. Like in some cases the binding force is not so strong, but in some solids the binding force is much stronger. So these properties are actually summed up in comparison to liquids and gases, right? But like if we compare two or more solids, so these properties can vary in slight amount, that some is rigid, some is soft in nature, or somehow, like we are just comparing things, we are just comparing different solids. So these are the properties. I think you got it. Now we are going to start with another topic. As we know about solid, that what are the basic properties of the solid. Now we are going to classify the solids on different types.